In worker space, when we went to traditional farming, we needed three full-time workers on the farm. One worker was dedicated for the harvesting, one worker was dedicated for weed management, taking care of the plants, and one worker was dedicated for the fertilizer, pesticide spraying, and all those parts. So we needed dedicated 3 workers to run a traditional farm. And here we needed only one worker to run the farm because his job was mainly to the harvest part. Once we created the seedlings, once we transported the seedlings from the from the tray to the NFT systems, after that the only job of this worker is to keep on harvesting and keep on packing and sending it to the market. So the labor dependency was very less when we talk about the hydroponic farm. It was one third of a manpower cost, the entire manpower cost. So when we talk about manpower cost, it's a day-to-day cost which we acquire. So in the region where we stay, generally it costs 400 rupees per day for a worker. So we're saving 800 rupees every day. This 800 rupees is nothing but the profit which you're gonna get in the end when we sell our harvest. So we're saving 800 rupees per day on the worker part or manpower cost. Now let's talk about the production. So what we understood from the hydroponic farm is whatever plant production we have, we can take it for entire year. We don't have to compromise on the quality or a quantity because it's not dependent on the climatic conditions. We went with the polyhouse. When we talk about the traditional farm, yes, the production, all year production was possible with the use of a polyhouse, but the cost was very high when we talk about for a small region. Let's say for 1 acre land for the polyhouse construction, it would have costed us more than like 25 to 30 lakh rupees to construct a polyhouse for that region. So we decided not to go with the polyhouse. We went for the open field production. So with the open field production, the issue is now we are very much limited for the seasonal cropping. We are able to sell our crops only in the winter season. In rainy season, we didn't have that much of production. In summer season, there was a lot of issues like pest control and production was not up to the mark. Quality was not up to the mark. We were not able to sell. Even if you could get the proper harvest, we are not getting the proper costing for that. So with the traditional farm, we are very much limited for the seasonal crops and we couldn't expand more than the seasonality. We should not go off season. In hydroponic farm, we can go the off season, we can go into the rain, we can go into the winter. So we conducted this experiment in a winter phase. So that gives us a little bit edge over comparing properly. But if you have done this comparison into the rainy season or summer season, this number would have changed drastically. Traditional farm wouldn't have contributed even close to the hydroponic farm, which we got results into the hydroponic farm. Now come to the next point, nutrient value. So when we test this production, whatever production we got, when we test this into the labs to understand the nutrients value, the most staggering calculations what we got is hydroponic farm has a more nutrient value and traditional farm has more pesticides, herbicides and the heavy metals into them. So the production what we got from the traditional farm has a lot of pesticides contained into it. So it was actually the biggest issue was we are just playing on the boundaries. When we talk about the arsenic, when we talk about the lead, we are just playing on the boundaries. It was fit for the human consumption, but the gap was very narrow. In a hydroponic farm, there was no gap at all. We are not dealing with the lead or arsenic. We were not dealing with heavy metals at all. In traditional farming, actually it was it gives us feeling of some guilt, like okay, whatever production we are sending into the market, it contains heavy metals, it contains pesticides, it contains different kind of herbicides. Even if people are paying premium for this kind of crop, we are doing cash crops in the end. People are paying premium for it. We are not able to provide them high nutrient food. In the end, we are providing them kind of a poison. That was the guilty feeling which we got from the traditional farming. In hydroponic farm, we didn't have that feeling because there was no trace of pesticides, there was no trace of herbicides, there was no high trace of heavy metals. So that was the biggest advantage we got from the hydroponic farm. So when we talk about the automation, so what we understood when we started research for the automation in traditional farming, the biggest technological advantage we got in a traditional farming is we are able to implement the drip irrigation system. And second thing is we are able to switch off and switch on motor using your mobile phone. That was the biggest automation. That's the last stage of automation which we got into traditional farming. In hydroponic, the case was totally different. In hydroponic, we are able to control temperature, we are able to control humidity, we are able to control different aspects like how much pH of water we are maintaining, how much nutrient solutions we are giving, how much fertilizer doses we are using. We are able to manage entire farm. Like in advance, we can tell, okay, how much workers are working, what is the production rate we have, what is the EBITDA we have, like earnings before tax deductions and everything. We had a lot of control over this data. In traditional farming, we never had this kind of a control. In traditional farming, we are not sure about how much production we're gonna get after 2 days. We didn't have that clear picture, so we are not able to commit to, even if we get orders from the market, we are not able to commit to the person and vendor that how much production we can send it to you on 3 days. We're not sure about what climatic conditions might come. Like, is there any issue with different kind of things we are doing into the traditional farming? In hydroponics, everything was under control. We are able to manage everything. We actually knew what kind of a crop production we are doing, how much production we are gonna get every day, and how much we can send it to the market, how much we're gonna make money on top of it. We are able to project our financials on based on that, and we are able to convince our pricing to the vendors. Even if you are charging them high or even if you are charging them low, we are able to convince them, okay, we are able to calculate per plant cost, and we are able to understand, okay, how much this plant is gonna make money for us. What is our EBITDA? EBITDA means what is the earning before tax, deduction, different kind of a thing. So we are able to understand what is our gross margin and what is our net profits on this. So we had all these details when we did the hydroponic farm. In traditional farming, these details were not at all possible for us. Even after doing everything scientifically, even after tracking everything using Excel sheets and running multiple formulas, we are technically not able to calculate or analyze the data in traditional farming. So the automation was not possible in a traditional farming. So let's talk about the location.